Okay. Hello, everyone. So this is going to be our last session for the South Orange Polaris/LEAP training. Once again, we're going to be doing holds, and your instructors are going to be Luke Patterson and me, William Lugene. We're the system administrators at the Buckles office. So if you have any questions about any issues with Polaris, you can always contact us. We also have Margaret here, who is our special projects librarian. She's also the South Orange project manager for your move. So if you guys have any questions for her as well, you could also ask her. So let's just get started with our key learning objectives. Just by the way, too, my voice is a little shot, so just to keep that in mind. First up, we have our key learning objectives. We have hold request, holds queue, pick list processing, request manager, placing holds, managing holds, and then book club holds. So we'll kind of go through all of that. It should be a somewhat shorter session, but it's going to be packed with information that's going to be really important to your workflow while you're at the library. So I would just make sure you're paying attention to everything when it comes to that. With that being said, let's get started. We're going to go ahead and go to LEAP test to start off here. So if I go ahead and click LEAP test, we'll be greeted by this page. You should be able to access LEAP and LEAP test on the desktop when you're signed onto the CERT computer. So I'm going to go ahead and use our guest credentials here again.
And let's just mention quickly that when you guys do your soft launch and you go live sort of, halfway, you won't be doing holds. So you're learning about holds, but holds won't be until you fully go live are in sharing with Buckles, and your patrons are going to other Buckles libraries and they're coming to you. The full go live, you'll do this stuff.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click continue. We selected our workstation and the branch is automatically set to South Orange. And this is just a reminder that this is our test server. We do have a production server where actually everything is going to be done on, but for the sake of these trainings, we're going to do it on the test server. So now that I've signed in, the first thing we're going to go into is hold requests. And you can be able to use the find tool, which in previous sessions we've talked about, to search for hold requests. What we're going to use it for is we actually look for a specific bibliographic record or hold request for lessons in chemistry. Lessons in chemistry is a really popular title in our consortium, and maybe for you guys. So this will be kind of easier to show how a hold request would show up. So when you're in the find tool, you go ahead and click the find button, and the hold request will be a specific search database where you can click here. Once you're in there, you can be able to go ahead and search by title in this case. So we're going to type in lessons in chemistry. Once we're in there, you're going to see a bunch of different ones here. We're going to go ahead and click this first one that says inactive, though, just to give an example. And when you go and open that, we're going to be greeted by a hold request record screen. So just to kind of go over all the kind of intricacies of this, first off, we're going to talk about the properties, which are going to show up in the I. So similar to other records, you can use this I to get any pertinent information on the specific record that you're looking at. So you have your hold request ID, the record status, and the request status date. We're going to talk about the record status in a bit. You have your creator, the creation date, and if there's any modifications to the hold request, you have your modifier, your modification date. And then the routing sequence says secondary. That's stuff that we kind of do on the back end to make sure that hold requests can be sent to the particular library in a quicker way. But I wouldn't worry too much about this. This is kind of just what we do on the back end here. You can also press the I to make it stay, or if you want, you can just hover over it and then it'll kind of appear once you hover off of it. In terms of this information, it's kind of similar in terms of what you're going to see. You have your request ID, the status, and then the status date. Again, I'll go into that in a bit, and we'll go into that in a bit. You have your request date, the origin, so this hold request was made by a patron. You have the bib control number, so if you go ahead and click into this, that'll bring you to the bibliographic record for the hold request as well. You have this item only, and then borrow by mail. Borrow by mail is a feature that is used by, I believe, one library within our consortium. It's not used a lot, but this is kind of an option here. You have your tracking number field here, so once it gets sent out to a specific library, this will kind of appear with a tracking number if you want to follow along with kind of the delivery process. Next up, you have your patron barcode and the patron name. This is what the hold request is attached to. And you can go ahead and click into that patron barcode to go specifically to that patron record at that point. Next up, you have the registered at. So this is where the patrons registered at in terms of their home library. In this case, they're registered to Ramsey. And then you have your notification option. So they selected email address as their option. And from there, they're going to receive notifications on their hold request through their email. So next up, we're going to go down here, and here's details. So you have a bunch of information here about the hold request. A lot of these fields that are grayed out are kind of just things that are on the bibliographic record that kind of explain what the actual title is that they're putting the hold request on. So you have lessons in chemistry. You have the barcode of the bibliographic record here. You have the ISBN. You have the format, author, date. This all gets filled in automatically, and we'll touch upon that in a little bit as well. On the top here, you have your pickup location. So what's really important and cool about the consortium is if you're a normal resident patron and that's part of Buckles, you can pick it up from any library location within the consortium. So that's helpful for patrons for, let's say if they live in South Orange, but they work somewhere in Bloomfield, they can go ahead and set the pickup location for Bloomfield Public Library. And while they're at work, they can pick it up from there instead of picking it up back at their hometown. So that's a really cool option here. Next up, you have your activation date and expiration date. These are really important features as well. This kind of goes back to that inactive status. Patrons have the ability to essentially set activation dates. Let's say, for example, this patron in this case isn't going to be available to pick up the item immediately. So they set the activation date for this item to be next year in June 2024. Once the activation date is set, the status will change to active, and then that's when the hold request will start to be processed through the system. You next up have the expiration date as well, and this is kind of a great way to explain this considering the fact that it's lessons in chemistry. Since lessons in chemistry is a really popular title, there's going to be a lot of patrons trying to go for it. And maybe the patron in that case won't want to get the item if it's not sent to them or processed for them in time. So this expiration date automatically defaults to a year after the activation date. And once this expiration date is reached, if the patron hasn't received the item yet in terms of their hold request, it'll automatically cancel the item. And from that point, they would have to either reinstate that hold request or it would be just removed from their account. So that's kind of a fail-safe if the patron doesn't want it. If the patron doesn't get it by this date, then
it goes into expired status though, so it won't show up as canceled. It'll show up as expired.
Yeah.
And that might be, I don't know if that's 30 days and it'll clear itself or something like that. Definitely canceled holds clear after 30 days, but expired may clear themselves after a while.
That is set, or do you set the expiration from the date it's entered?
You can manually set it if you'd like to, but it automatically defaults a year after the activation date. Yep, no problem. Next up, we have the Notes tab. So this just is extra notes that you can be able to apply onto the hold request. Any of these fields you can utilize, and just to note as well, this is only viewable in the hold request. So you'll notice that you have like non-public notes or staff display notes or pack display notes. They're not going to show up anywhere else. It's only going to be in the hold request record. So this is mainly going to be used for communicating with your fellow staff members about any information on the hold request. Next up, if we go here, we have satisfied by. The satisfied by tab kind of gives you some information on the library that's going to be satisfying the hold request. In this case, you have Ramsey Public Library, you have their item barcode here, and then the status of checked out. From that point, you'll notice here that it's going to show the library that's going to be able to fulfill that hold request.
Normally, you're going to see a lot more libraries listed there because normally when you place a hold request, any number of libraries could fill that hold request. This one, I'm wondering if it's an item hold instead of a title level hold. But anyway.
Yeah. Next up, we have history. And if you look at the history, this kind of gives you information on like kind of the statuses and how they've changed over time with this hold request. So you'll notice here it was set to active back in December 2022, and then it was changed to inactive in February, and then so on and so forth. This could be a test hold request in this case, but it looks like it was constantly being changed, and from there you can kind of see the statuses change. It's not only going to show active and inactive. If the status changes to like on the way or it's pending, that'll show up as well. So we're going to go into that a little bit to kind of explain it. And then lastly, you have all hold requests. So if you go to this tab, you'll kind of get information on all of the hold requests that have been placed on this bid record. And because, like I was saying before, Lessons in Chemistry is really popular, you'll notice there's a lot of hold requests here that are already set up for it. And from here, you can be able to do a few things with it, like filter it. If you want to filter out a specific name, you can use this filter field. And let's say, for example, we're going to look for somebody named, at least in this case, we could use Hazel. So if we type in Hazel, it'll kind of bring us to the specific hold request from there. So that's a really good option if you want to look at how many hold requests are placed on the bid record, and if you want to look for particular hold requests based on the patron's name. Right. Next up, we have this actions drop-down menu. So if we go ahead and click here, there's a few different options that you can see. First off, you can cancel the hold request by using this button. If I were to cancel this button, the reactivate gray button wouldn't be grayed out anymore, and you can click that to reactivate the hold request. So in this case, let's say, for example, the patron doesn't want the hold request anymore. You can cancel it, but then maybe the day after that they decide to reactivate it. You can click this to reactivate it. You have next one, which is delete. The delete button completely deletes the hold request. Usually you would want to cancel it first, I want to say, and then delete it.
You can't delete a hold request unless it's been canceled first, or it's already in a canceled type status that you can delete from. Yeah. Like expired, you can delete.
Yeah. So that essentially just removes the hold request entirely off of the patron's account. So it won't be able to be reactivated again in that case. And then lastly, you have this fill now option. I believe in this case, because it's an item record, this might be more helpful, I want to say, right? But in this case, you can...
Yeah, if you were to be like, okay, I have 5 copies of this. This is on this one item. I can clearly fill this with this other item. There's no reason this patron needs this. You know, patrons can accidentally do item level requests, I think, in the pack. In the current pack, at least.
Yeah.
Let's not even get into the next pack. But the fill now lets you fill it with a different copy of the same item or a different edition if you're pretty sure they're not specifically wanting one edition of something like Jane Eyre or, you know, one of those titles where you have like all different editions. So you can, you know, branch outside of the specific requirements of the hold request, but you just want to use that with your discretion.
You'll also notice that there's these grayed out buttons here. We're going to kind of explain that in a little bit with kind of one of the more important features about hold requests. Next up, we have this links button, and this will bring you to the hold SKU. The hold SKU is going to be explained in a little bit as well, but that's where you can go directly to it from a hold request record. Next up, you have the refresh button. This is kind of self-explanatory, so if there's any status changes and the record isn't reflecting that in real time, you can click the refresh button here, and what that'll do is just refresh anything that's been changed on the record so that you can get the most current information on it. Next up, you have the results button. We've talked about this in previous sessions, but if you click the results button, that'll bring you right back to the find tool, and you can go ahead and look at any of the other things that you searched up here. So I'm going to go back into that record again, but that's how you can go back to it. And then lastly, you have the close button. So the close button, it just closes out the record. You want to make sure that you're closing it out as much as possible. We've stated in previous sessions as well, if you leave the record open, then other patrons within, or other staff members within the consortium can't have access to it and won't be able to modify it. So definitely an important thing, especially with hold requests. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out actually, and I'm going to pass it off to Luke, and he's going to explain what the hold SKU is.
All right, so if you all remember from earlier training, we have the utilities menu here. And the first one we have is the holds queue. So I'm going to pull up the same record, same title Will did as our example, Lessons in Chemistry. A novel. And again, another real fast way to do this is, you can also, go back into recent Windows.
You can get to it from the hold request as well. But you showed that already, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the holds queue. The one thing to keep in mind when you first look at it, we have two tabs here. We have the queue, which shows 45 items, and then we have all hold requests, which shows 114. And I'll go over the differences between these two. You always want to remember that the order here is not going to necessarily be accurate because libraries' copies will fill their patrons' holds first. So in the queue, it's going to show the position, and then that's the first column. Then we have patron name, patron branch, status, pickup branch, volume, issue if applicable, request date, and expiration date. And then we have these filters here. So if you have a long queue, you can choose a column to filter by. So I could say status. Oops. I could say status, and I want to just look at on the way. So it's gonna, as you type, it's gonna filter out everything else. I might want to look at, let's say, just let's do just pick up branch as Montclair. So you start typing. Montvale would show up. So you just make sure you type as far as you need to go to filter to that library. So the thing with the holds queue is the columns can't be sorted. You can't click these and make them alphabetized, but you can just quickly hit this drop down and start typing in the filter box to narrow things down. And with any of these, I can just open up the hold, and this brings you into the screen Will was showing you just moments ago.
I just want to make sure it was clear, though, that this order here, if a South Orange copy comes back, it's not going to pull the first person from the list. It's going to go to the first South Orange patron from the list. Then it's going to go, if there's no South Orange patrons left, it's going to go to the first person on the list after that.
So it might be in order, but not necessarily because of that. This is the queue here. Now all hold requests. This is showing more because it includes canceled, expired, and unclaimed holds. So if I want to filter here and I go to unclaimed, you can see here it's including all these unclaimed holds. It will include canceled holds. There's one canceled one. And it will show if we had any. We don't have any expired, but they would show there. So this is why we have 114 number here versus the 45 here. The nice thing about this part of the holds queue is you can sort all these columns. So I can sort patron name, alphabetized. I can look at activation date in order. Activation date. I can click status and flip all these around. So that's the difference here. You don't have this drop down where then you could select a column to filter because you can kind of click all the columns and sort them as you want. Okay, and then in here, I can click place hold, and it's going to bring up the patron find tool, and I can place a hold. I'll do this other loop, open.
Can you just show transfer and cancel them?
Oh, yeah. I need to do a South Orange, right?
Not necessarily, but.
And then we have transfer hold here and cancel it. It's not coming up as.
You have to click one. Check the box.
Yeah, it's checked.
I'm sorry, I'm blind.
The box is checked. Sorry.
And when you click transfer, what happens?
So maybe it has to be a.
Interesting. Oh, is it in a?
So do oh yeah, active. Okay. So now I can transfer this to another title, and then I can also cancel the hold. And then we went over this before, but anytime you start with the find tool, you can hit results, and it's going to bring me back to the find tool. I'm going to go actually back into this, and then the last thing, once we cancel, let's cancel these. Let's cancel this one. Now if I hit refresh, it's going to always update the results. So the next utility we're going to go over is pick list processing.
I have a quick question. Why would we transfer a hold to another title if that's the title that a patron?
Yeah, I can't.
It's just an option that.
What I've done before, and this is only when I'm doing monthly cleanup in the office, and I have to remove holds from bib records before I can delete them,
Okay.
and item records. What I'll do is if I find an item level hold on a certain title and there's tons of other copies that they could fill, I'll transfer the item level hold to a bib level hold
So
that it could fill. So it's the same title, but you're transferring it to the bib level so that it could fill with any other copies. Because I need to delete the item that's withdrawn or deleted or whatever. I need to purge that item out of the database, so I can't have a hold on it. So I transfer it to the bib level, and it can be filled by some other copy.
Okay,
So that's the only reason I've done it.
if we would transfer to another.
Maybe you guys could think of another case where you transfer it to a whole different bib record, but that's the only time I've done it.
Can I jump off that?
Mhm.
If I can see a situation where we want to transfer to another library, I decided I'd rather pick it up in Montclair now.
That's going to be different, and they'll show you.
And how about the claim? If somebody repeats this, put something on hold, never comes to pick it up, do they go back on the list, or do you just?
No, not if they're unclaimed. They're going to have to do the hold again themselves. Yeah.
Alright. So pick list processing is going to be the next thing. That's going to be kind of the most important feature we're going to talk about, I feel, because that's how you're going to essentially set up your workflow to be like when it comes to processing hold requests within the library. This is a feature that Innovative made so that when it comes to consortiums, we can be able to process these a little bit more smoothly in terms of everything. So I'll kind of just go into it a bit now. In order to access the pick list processing, you would just go to utilities, and you'll notice that it shows up as an option here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click into that. For the sake of this training, since South Orange doesn't have any hold requests yet, we're going to use Livingston as our example. So I'm just going to go ahead and click into Livingston. And anything that I do in here, you wouldn't be able to do with any other libraries, but you're going to always do this on your own library. One more thing to mention, just as a rule of thumb, as soon as these lists comes up, you can go ahead and click the refresh button just to make sure, because sometimes it'll come up as misaligned all these line items here. So I would just click the refresh button as soon as you get into this list here. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, but we can kind of get into it
Maybe
step
just
by
mention
step.
first what this is. This is your list of items to pull to send to other libraries
Yeah.
that they have held on your items.
You always want to try to get it to 0.
Yeah. So first up, we're going to talk about processing. So there's kind of two options that you can utilize in terms of your workflow, and then you can just choose what's best for you. Their first option is if you want, you can print this list of hold requests, and from the printed list, you can use it to go to the shelves and then find the specific items that are on your list here.
Just click print so you could show them.
So if I click the print button,
You just have to change your printer.
yeah, there we go. But that's what it would look like once you print it out.
I like to print 2 per page because I don't have trouble with seeing small print, so it saves me paper. So I print like 1 sheet on the left side and the second sheet on the right side, and I save myself a little bit of paper. Or sometimes I take a picture with my phone and walk around with my phone.
So that's kind of your first option if you want to just use a print option in this case. And then you'll see it gives you all the information for each hold request that you're going to be trying to find within your shelves. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel for this. And your second option is if you'd like to, you could use a tablet or a Chromebook at the shelves instead. What you would need to do is just log into the tablet or Chromebook with the VPN like you normally would with the other laptops. You'll get access to Leap from here, and then from there you can actually process everything in live through your Chromebook or through your tablet. So that's another option that you can utilize as well. When you do it with print, obviously you can't like do certain functions, but with the Chromebook or tablet you can do everything live.
You would mark them located as you go. You'd mark them located, so that if you had 2 people pulling holds at once, one of them would know, okay, that one already located this item. I don't need to get it.
So to kind of go over this first tab, you first off have pending. So these are all your pending hold requests that are set for your library. What happens is that the pending stays at the library for 3 days before going to the next library. The reason why we have that system set up is because we want to make sure that the patron gets it as quickly as possible. So it's important for your library that you want to get these hold requests out as quickly as possible because you want things circulating consistently for your library. If it doesn't get done in 3 days, it'll automatically get passed off to the next library that'll be applicable for that patron and their hold request. Like Margaret just stated, you can go ahead and mark located for items specifically if you're using the Chromebook or the tablet. In order to do that, let's say, for example, you located Small Town Big Magic. You can just go ahead and check this off, and then you can press this located button to be able to select that it's located.
You could do it.
So if we go ahead and click it, you'll notice here that the item gets switched to this next tab, which is located. We'll kind of go into that in a little bit as well. But it kind of groups all of the items that you have that are like already found into that new list so that you can be able to kind of process everything and see how everything's working in that way. The second thing that you can also do is mark things missing if you can't find it. So we're going to go into the P&P manual, or the Policies and Procedures manual, and go over the missing items policy. If we go to this missing items policy, there's a few things that it'll state. First, you want to check if it's the last copy in buckles, if it's an item that you think is lost. In order to do that, I'm going to go back to Leap Test, and we're kind of going to show you the procedure that you would do. So let's say, for example, the personal librarian is lost. You would first click the barcode on the line item here, and what that'll do is bring you to the item record. Once you're there, you can click the bib control number. What that does is bring you to the bibliographic record. And then if you go to the items tab, you can click here, and you'll try to see if there's any other items. In this case, there's a lot of items throughout the consortium, so you wouldn't need to worry about it. But if you only see one item within this list, like one line item in general, that means it's the last copy within buckles. From that, it's important to make sure, based on the policy, again, if we go back to here, that you want to notify the patron's library if it's missing and it was the last item within buckles. So in order to do that, you would again go back here. I'm going to close out all of these records, and we can go specifically to the patron's hold request. So we're going to click just the line item itself, and it'll bring us to the hold request record. From there, if you want, you're going to check the registered at library. In this case, this is Wyckoff Public Library. And then you would just contact them by emailing their CERC email, all the details that you've said or found out about the item being missing. Usually CERC emails are the abbreviation of the library followed by CERC@gmail.com. So you can use your emails in order to kind of contact them and get information that way.
Do you guys know if you start typing Wyckoff CERC, if it'll come up as well? I think it does. Can you like quickly compose an email in Gmail and just see? I think because you guys aren't going to know all the 4-letter codes of all the 77 libraries.
Yeah.
So I think if you type Wyckoff CERC,
it will come up to catalog and
it'll
CERC.
just type in the name of the library and CERC for circulation, or type out circulation, but it'll start coming up as soon as you type in CERC, and it'll be the 4-letter code followed by CERC@buckles.org. You guys have a CERC email as well. Somebody should be always checking it, or have the emails forwarded to somebody, so that you are, because that's how the libraries communicate with each other. And that's where your overdues come from. So if a patron replies to an overdue notice, for example, it's going to go to that email address.
A question, and if you're going to answer, let me know. When we see something on the list that we need to pull, I assume it's barcode specific. So even if there's 5 copies of it, we have to find that one copy.
Yes. It may work if you don't, if it's a bib level request. But if it's an item level request, you obviously definitely have to pick that one. I'm not sure if it will fill it. I don't think it will fill it if it's a different barcode, even if it's a title level. But I guess you could test that.
I think you say like CERC@gmail.com. Everybody has it set as SORA. We changed ours to SOPL.
Oh yeah, Gmail it's not, nothing's at Gmail.
Nothing's at Gmail, no.
Okay.
But yours is, if you
SORA
want,
CERC@SOPL.
here's the thing. If you want to have an alias for it, Joseph can set that up for you. But the email itself is soracirc@buckles.org.
Yeah, but they're all like the library domains. There's nothing at
Yeah, nothing's
Gmail.
at Gmail. It's all at buckles.org.
Would that item specific be like a reason to use the transfer, I guess?
Yeah, you could, or you could do fill now, and you could put another item.
Because it's, like
In.
if you're looking for a specific barcode, but that one's missing, you
Yeah.
have the other barcode.
Yeah, you could still fill it. You still want to mark the one you have missing.
Right.
And he's about to show you how to do that. But you do want, you could, that could be an option. Fill the hole, then make the other copy missing.
Okay.
All right. So in order to mark an item missing, it's similar to what we did with located. So if, for example, the personal librarian is missing, we can click that, and then we would be able to click the missing button. In this case, we can't click it right now because we're logged in as a SORA account, but this is Livingston. But when you're on your pick list, you can go ahead and click that missing button if you can't find it. So if we go to the next thing, the next thing we can do is we can mark an item that's being repaired if it's too damaged to send. So if we go to the policy for damaged, incomplete, and/or mislinked materials, we can scroll down to this kind of information here. We kind of explained this a little bit before in previous sessions, but you can use the material condition chart to see if something is repairable. If you scroll down, or look down, I guess, there's a section that says repairable items. And what that states is that items waiting for repair must be put into the being repaired status. That's just helpful so that other libraries can understand that that particular item is being repaired and it's not available at that time. And in terms of kind of changing that, we can go ahead and go over that within LEAP. So in this case, I'm going to look at this item again. Let's say, for example, long gone, come home needs to be repaired. We could go ahead and click that barcode. It'll bring us to the item record. From there, you can go ahead and click the details tab, and you can be able to change the circulation status by clicking this little drop-down menu. Again, we won't be able to change this because we're logged in as SORA and that's not our item. This is Livingston item, but if it's an item that you have, you can click the circulation status. The drop-down menu appears with all the different circulation statuses, and you would just click being repaired. I'm going to go ahead and close this. And once you set the thing or set the item to being repaired, you just want to click the refresh button so that it'll be removed from the pick list when you're done. So it won't be available on your pick list anymore. Next up, we have changing the holdable status if it shouldn't be sent to other patrons as well. So if we go to, again, P&P, and we go to the resource sharing policy, there's a few things that kind of are stated in this policy to help libraries when it comes to sharing their materials. Items may be restricted to your own patrons and/or for pickup at your library only for the first 3 months. After that, they're made available and for up to 3 months at a time for summer or holiday items. What this essentially states is that you can specifically set items to be set for your patrons only for the first 3 months if it's a new item, or for summer or holiday items as well. That's going to be definitely helpful to give kind of that edge to your patrons when it comes to the items that you specifically have. After that 3 months, they would be available for changing or for sharing through the other libraries within the consortium. And I'm going to show you how to change the holdable status within LEAP as well. So going back to the pick list, let's say, for example, you notice that King of the Armadillos is something that you don't want to share for your patrons yet, or share for other patrons within the consortium yet. You can click the barcode. Once you click that, it'll bring you to the details again, like we did with the changing the circulation status. But at this time, we're going to actually scroll all the way to the bottom. And when that happens, you're going to select the hold limited to. So you would usually click, I believe, the pickup at.
Yeah, you could do either pickup at or patrons from this library and branches only,
Yeah.
or both.
Right now it's grayed out again because it's a Livingston item, but you would be able to click that.
And again, you would only do this if it was new. You wouldn't do this for some old item, unless it was summer reading or holiday items.
Mhm.
You could do that for 3 months at a time.
Once that's kind of set, it'll allow that to be only holdable for your patrons. And once you do that, you just want to make sure that you save the item record. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before too, but again, with the circulation status, you want to click the save button as well. Once you hit the close button on the item record, again, you just want to refresh your pick list. If it's only holdable for your patrons, it'll be automatically removed once you refresh it from your pick list. Next up, we have the Ask Me Later button, and this is kind of a really helpful tool. We mentioned before that you would use the missing button if you genuinely can't find that item. However, the Ask Me Later button is a little different. If you can't find the item, but you want to search it more thoroughly later, you can use that button. This is the button that you would click right here. So let's say, for example, I can't find Command Authority, but I promised that I saw it like 2 days ago at a shelf. I can go ahead and click that, and then I can use the Ask Me Later button to essentially just, let me see if it works. It removes it from the pick list, and what it does is that it might come back to you if no other library's copies are requestable or no one else owns it. So that's just kind of a good way to allow you to get a second chance at trying to find that item later if you need to.
But basically, it's a way to send it on to the next library and say, like, you know what, I want this patron to get their hold as fast as possible, but I just can't find this right now, but I'm not ready to mark it missing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, send it on to the next library. They can send it. If no other libraries own it, though, or all the other libraries' copies are not requestable, it may just come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, quick question. So at times, the school district, because we were South Orange, Maplewood, two towns, one district, they'll do Battle of the Books. And every school is different. It's not always the same month.
Mm-hmm.
Can we select those books just for those kids?
Is it a summer reading thing? No. I mean, you could call it a holiday, I guess. I don't know. You could do it for 3 months at a time. Yeah. You could quote me on that.
So, if, let's say there's 20 things on our pick list, but today we're really short-staffed, we just don't have time to pull anything, would Ask Me Later be the way to kind of move it along, and then maybe it'll come back to us?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Next thing to kind of note as well, this is kind of funny, but you'll notice that there's this big red deny button that makes you want to press it a lot. You don't want to press that button. The reason for that is the situations that we've kind of explained before would be able to kind of apply for the reasons for why you wouldn't want to, like, for why you wouldn't be able to fulfill a hold request. What this deny button essentially does is, let's say, for example, I clicked My Magnolia Summer and then click the deny button. That would essentially remove it from our pick list like forever, and libraries wouldn't be able to request that item anymore, and you wouldn't want to have that be the
patron
case.
wouldn't be able to request it from you anymore.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to do that unless, if, we've just covered all the situations why you wouldn't want to send something.
Mhm.
It's missing, it's damaged, it should be not holdable for 3 months. It's, you can't find it right now and you want to send it to the next library. All those reasons are really the only, like, there's no other reason to deny something unless you really just want to not follow policy and refuse to send something, which you're not allowed to do.
Mhm.
So,
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't understand it. I mean,
Yeah.
in Polaris, of course, they're vendors to other customers in other library consortia, and maybe those library consortia allow just arbitrarily denying hold requests. We don't. We have policies around that, so if we could disable it using some code, we could. You
Mhm.
guys can look into that, but not me.
Gotcha. But yeah, it's a really weird quirk that shows up on the pick list.
And
But
it's so prominent too.
yeah, it's so, like, it's really alluring. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I guess that would also help just to let you know, don't press the red button, big red button.
Can't undeny it. So you accidentally press it, you can't like switch it back.
You can't undeny it, no.
Yeah.
That hold is never going to come back to you again.
The option is right there.
Exactly. All right. With that being said, we're going to move on to the next tab. So I kind of touched on it a bit before, but you have the located tab here. And what this does is what we were mentioning before. If you're on the pending pick list or pending list here, and you click the item and click located because you found the item, it'll bring it over here. What you can do though is, let's say for example, Small Town Big Magic is here. And let's say, for example, you received the item and you located it and you thought that it was this book, but it ended up being a different book. What you can do is you can go ahead and click the line item again, and then you can press the return button. What that'll do is it'll return it back to your pending pick list so that you can kind of look for it again if you need to. So that's kind of a helpful option if you make the mistake of putting a specific item from the pending list to the located list. Next up, you have the unclaimed tab. So there's a lot of unclaimed items here. But what this essentially means is that if an item is on hold for longer than 4 days, it'll get set to a status of unclaimed. And we're going to go to a policies and procedure to kind of explain this with the unclaimed and missing in action items policy. If we go to this unclaimed items section here, what it states is that libraries must return items or send it to the next patron. So this is just an important thing to remember. You want to, again, make sure that the hold request is moving along so that the patron can receive their item as quickly as possible. So if the previous patron didn't pick up their item, you don't want to just leave it sitting there. You want to make sure that it's processed for the next patron as quickly as possible.
Some libraries go ahead and manually, because hold request notifications are only sent once. Some libraries go through and manually either call or email from their Circ account. They'll email the patron again, like the day after it wasn't picked up, and they'll say, hey, we'll give you 2 more days or something. And then if they don't pick it up at that point, then they'll remove it from unclaimed. But you don't have to. There's no policy that says you have to give them a second chance. So it's really up to you guys what you want to do.
Okay, so this is all automated after the 4th day.
It goes to unclaimed, yes.
Yeah.
But you can still check it out to the patron if they come in. It's still on their card as unclaimed. So it would, a checkout would be successful to them.
I'm saying,
But-
what if they say, I need a 5th day, I'm on vacation, so I'll be back on the 5th day?
Yeah, then it'll automatically go to unclaimed, yes. But you can note that on the slip, the hold slip, and just say being held till whenever instead they're on vacation or whatever.
And going back to this list, that's essentially what this all means. So this is the collection of items that have been unclaimed over time, and it'll show up here. So it's definitely an important thing to kind of just take a look at this just to see if there is any items that are unclaimed or have the unclaimed status. And then, like we were discussing just now, you can kind of process it in your own way at that point. Next up, we're going to just skip over this tab for unclaimed ILL and go to holds to transfer. What this essentially means is that items on your hold shelf that need to be sent to other libraries due to the pickup location being changed are going to show up here. So that's a really important option here as well. If the patron set their pickup location originally for South Orange, but then they changed it to West Orange, all those items will be changed there. And you want to go to this list and kind of change the pickup location and then deliver it to the appropriate library at that point.
Well, you're not going to change the pickup location. It's already been changed.
Yeah.
You just have to check it in and get a new hold slip, or transit slip, I should say, because it's going to transit to the next library that they're picking it up at.
Next up, we have the cancel tab. Again, this is a little bit self-explanatory too, but what this does is it checks for holds that were canceled while being on the on hold status. That need to be returned or sent to the next patron. What that essentially means is if the hold request has already been processed and it's ready for the patron to pick up, and then they cancel it, that'll show up there. So that's going to be really important to keep in mind as well, so that you can be able to process it accordingly, so that the next patron will have a chance to be able to get that item. And then lastly, if you want to check in all of the above to process them.
Not if you want to, you should.
To check in all of the above to process them. This goes for every single list. You can just go ahead and click this box at the top. This is similar to other functions that we've discussed before, but what this will do, it will select every single item within the list, and then you can go ahead and print it.
No. Well, okay. The point here is that if you have something on your pending list, you have something that was located, you have something that's unclaimed, you have a hold to transfer, or you have a canceled hold, the step to do to process any of those statuses is a check-in. So you're going to open the check-in, so copy one of those barcodes.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then go to check-in.
And then go to check-in, and you're going to see checking it in tells you what to do with it at that point. And it's going to say it has a hold and where to send it, and that's how you're going to process any of these. Unclaimed, it's a check-in, and it's going to clear the unclaimed status, and it's going to move on to the next patron. A hold to transfer, it's a check-in. Located, it's a check-in. So all of these are check-ins. You can do whatever you want with that. No, yes, cancel. It's test. It doesn't matter.
So when patrons are looking in the catalog for that specific item, it'll say, carrying packs, it'll say that item is on hold, but then the other...
Not until it's actually on your hold shelf and has been checked in.
Checked in as being...
Yeah. If it's pending, and see, this is why we mentioned in the last training, if it's pending on your pick list and a patron comes in and pulls it from the shelf, they get it. It'll pop up that it's on hold, not on hold, it'll pop up that there's a hold, and it wants to process that hold for the patron, but you're going to give it to the patron who walked in and pulled it off the shelf. So yeah, sometimes that can happen.
So nothing's going to say in transit, because right now with TLC, sometimes things will say in transit. If somebody were to put something on hold from home, and a patron comes in to check that item, it'll say in transit. Right?
Yeah, as soon as they put a book on hold that we have, it says that the status is now in transit.
Okay, no, that's not, you will see in transit status, but that means something different in our system. In transit is what it shows when it's on its way back to the owning library. And I think you had asked the question of, do you always send back to the owning library, or do you send it to
That's how we
fill a hold?
process ILLs right now, is we
Yeah.
send them back, and then they touch point, send to the next
Yeah.
library.
And that's a good question to note because of the status difference. If you check something in and it's going back to the owning library, it'll say in transit. If you check something in that's going for a hold, it's going to say en route, ENROUTE, en route. I don't know that that's English, but yeah, whatever.
So if
Sounds French.
Yeah, so just to clear up, if we haven't hit, if it's in our little queue, the pick list,
Yeah.
and we have not hit locate on it yet because we have not grabbed it, it'll still say available in our catalog.
Even if you hit located, it'll still
Even
say
if you hit
available.
located.
It's gonna say available until
We hit
it's
the
in
check.
transit. Well, in transit has nothing to do with hold. En route or on hold. And that's when you checked it in and a hold slip has printed out and it's on your hold shelf. So yeah, it's gonna say available up until en route or on hold.
Okay.
Yep.
So
So a patron is not gonna know that somebody else placed a hold on it.
right, because
Yeah.
like I was saying right now, if someone were to check it and they say want lessons in chemistry, I haven't grabbed it from the shelf yet, it'll say in transit for
Right.
someone else.
No, the only sort of comparable status is en route, I guess, because if it's on its way to a patron for a hold, it will say
Right, but
en
it
route.
can't be on the shelf or be on the route. 'Cause
No.
That's what transit is, it's on
Oh,
the
okay,
shelf.
it's on the shelf, but it's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pending us pulling
Yeah.
it. Is that what it
Yeah,
is?
okay.
In here, if a patron, like, say, it places a hold, but someone gets in and, like, gets the book and, like, goes and checks it out, they get preference.
They get preference, yeah, so it's always gonna show available until it's actually been set aside for someone, because that tells the patron, if you go in and get it, you're gonna get
Still
it.
go get it.
Yeah.
We do the
Mhm.
same.
Yeah.
The patron finds the book on the shelf.
Yes.
Right, but the status in
I
the
think
catalogs.
It's going to happen a lot more now than it did.
Yeah. Alright. I don't know if we want to take a break real quick.
Oh, do you wanna?
It's up to you.
You guys have the time crunch,
We
so.
probably have, like, we don't have much more, maybe like another 20 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you guys want to just get through it, and, or
Yeah,
we can
let's
take a
just,
break.
let's just get through it. I feel
Let's
like
get through
you, the time, we
Gotcha.
may have questions,
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
you
So,
guys are okay.
all right, so I'm going to pass it off to Luke, and he's going to explain the request manager. Oh, let's close these.
Did you guys wanna try to have lunch before training, don't you?
That's true too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Okay, so we went in utilities, we went over holds queue, pickless processing. So the last one is request manager. And we're going to do Livingston again. Okay. So one thing here is, so once the branch is selected, there's these two other drop downs, status and buy. So kind of like the find tool where how you change things earlier on, it will change things the next option. So it's the same thing for request manager. So like if I go to on the way, see now it changes everything down here. So this just shows status of on the way. And then if I do item, so now it's showing with status on the way and then by item. But like,
So it's Livingston items that are on the way versus Livingston patrons holds that are on the way, or Livingston pickup location holds
Yeah.
that are on the way.
so now I'm going to say Livingston status is on the way by patron and pickup. So as you change these things, it's going to change everything below, and then sometimes when you change the status, it will change the options of buy. So just remember that. You can see how the columns will change. For on the way pickup, I have author, title, format, patron name, etc. But when I change it to, that's the same, patron. Okay, and then I change it by item. That's where you can see all the columns really change. With these columns, you can also do the sort alphabetically or alpha. It's either alpha or numerical. And then filter is the same thing as before. So if I don't want to scroll through everything and I want something with Harry Potter, I can just HARR and I can start pulling up Harry Potter. Next up, if any of these are selected, you can go into the properties, and then the properties will bring up the whole properties window, and that's you've seen this before, but it's going to show the status, the status date, activation date, expiration date, the patron, which is clickable, so you can go into the patron record right here. Patron record registered at pickup branch, and then it will show on this tab item, and you can go into the item. And about that's going to show when the request happened, where it happened. This happened on the pack, and then if it was modified, it's going to add these fields here. And I hit cancel, and I can cancel any of these holds. And again, now if I hit refresh, it looks like it refreshed automatically, but refresh is another way just to do that. All right, so now we've gone through the 3 utilities here: holds queue, pick list processing, and request manager. So Will's going to show actually placing holds.
All right, I'm gonna close out of here. So first off, before I discuss placing holds, we're going to go into the request policy just to kind of explain that real quick. So in the request policy, if we go to the initiating request section, it states that any library can place a hold for any unrestricted patron. So that means a patron that has the adult, juvenile, or young adult patron code. And then secondly, patrons can have a total of 25 holds at one time. So that's a really important thing to kind of remember. If they have more than 25 holds, you don't want to add any more hold requests. Next up, you have like restricted cards as well. This is stated in this second policy, and this is kind of where the differentiation between an unrestricted card and a restricted card is. Restricted cards, again, are the pay patron codes, the courtesy patron codes, and then rebel and institution cards as well. So they're blocked from having holds, and the reason for that is because they're only going to be receiving specific items from your library. You don't want them to create holds on different items within the consortium because they won't have access to that. What libraries would have to do in this case is that they would have to place item holds on their items only for the restricted cards in order for them to be able to do that. So that's a really important thing, and we're going to kind of go into how that can be done right now through placing hold requests. So if I go into Polaris Leap, we're going to scan in our guest patron or test patron essentially, which is Sally South Orange. And there's a few ways that you can place hold requests. So first off, we can be able to place a hold request on the patron record. This can be done if you are inside of the patron record. You can click the holds tab, and what that'll do is it'll bring up this screen where you can create a new hold request. That'll be done by just pressing this new hold button. When it comes to a patron being blocked as well, you also can just place a hold request on their account even though they're blocked. So they can still do hold requests. It's just that they won't be able to check out that item until the blocks are dealt with. So keep that in mind when if this ever comes up again and you want to place a hold request, you can still do it. So I'm going to go ahead and click continue. And this brings up a new menu here for hold requests. Essentially what we're going to do for this case is we're going to be placing a hold request for Becoming by Michelle Obama. So in terms of doing that, you can use the find tool that's kind of embedded into this section here. And you can be able to look for the find tool there. In terms of the parameters, we set it to bibliographic record because we're going to be doing it on the title, the hold request. We have it on basic search. We're going to be typing in the title. And then for exact for this relation, we're going to set it to exact without the truncation, and I'll kind of show you why in a little bit. So if we go ahead and type in Becoming, it's going to show Michelle Obama a lot closer to the top, but if we were to do it for it truncated, it's going to show all of the different items. Oh, looks like there's not a difference. But essentially what the truncation would do is that it's going to show all the letters or any titles that have Becoming, and then something after it as well. So you'll notice here that the results may be different if I do it just with without the truncation. Oops, let me go back there. If I were to do it without the truncation, You'll notice now there's only 19 results instead of the 394 results that we got before, so that's a good way to kind of use that if you're specifically looking for a titled book. So from there, we're going to go to Becoming. We're going to click Open, and what that does is that it automatically fills in that information that we saw before on the hold request record. So that's already set up for us as soon as we select the bib record. From there, we can be able to use these to kind of set up any other extra information for the patron. Like we stated before, we can set the activation date. Right now, it automatically defaults to today, but if, again, the patron can't pick it up until maybe next Friday, you can set it by, in this case, we're going to go to October, and then just setting it to next Friday. The expiration date automatically defaults to the year after the activation date. But you can also go in here and make a custom expiration date for the patron as well by just going into here. We're not going to change it in this case. And then lastly, you have the pickup location. It usually defaults to the library that the patron is signed or registered to. And
The library of the workstation you're logged in.
of the workstation. So in this case, since we're using a South Orange account, it's going to default to the pickup location of South Orange. But you can, again, go into any location here and change it. Some libraries have locker locations that if a patron wants to pick it up from a locker, they can utilize that as well. The lockers are essentially like Amazon lockers, so they can use that system as well if the library has that available. But we're going to leave it to South Orange for now. And now that we have all the information set up here, we can go ahead and click the Place Hold button. And now the hold request has been created. You'll notice too that the activation date isn't for today yet, so that's why the status is changed to inactive in this case. Next up, we're going to do it from a bibliographic record. So let's say, for example, we're going to use the Find tool. Actually, let me leave this open. So we're going to look for the bibliographic record. I'm going to set my Find tool to be searching for bibliographic records. We're going to do the same thing by setting this to title, and then setting our relation to exact. So if I type in Becoming again, you'll notice that it shows up with all the information that we saw before. In this case, I'm going to do a hold request for Becoming, but in large print. So if I click this one and hit Open, we're going to be greeted to the bibliographic record. In order to do it from the bib record, you can just go to the Actions drop-down button here. And what this does is it gives you an option to place a hold on the bib record. Now, the reason why I left open Sally's account is kind of helpful in terms of this case. If I click the Place Hold button, you'll notice that a pop-up shows up here, so saying that if we wanted to select Sally as our patron. The reason for that is because the ILS is smart enough to know that since you have a patron record open, it's most likely going to recommend you that to be able to select for the patron you want to place the hold request on. However, if you just have a patron up and you want to put it on a different patron, you also have the option to click the Find tool, and you can select the patron this way by just searching them up in the Find tool. If you don't have any patrons up as well, by default, it'll bring you to the Find tool to use in order to search for specific patrons to place the hold on. In this case, I'm going to cancel that. If I go ahead and place hold again, we're going to click Sally. I'm going to hit OK. And as you'll notice, all the information is automatically filled in this time again because we already have the bib record open. So I'm going to leave the activation date as today, and I'm not going to really change anything just to show you the difference between the statuses. So if I click Place Hold, you'll notice now that it's set to pending, which means that it's getting processed and it's been sent to your pick list or the library's pick list in order to get processed for the patron. If it's not available, it'll be set to a status of active, which means that it's going to get processed. Essentially it's in the process of getting processed. So that's kind of a helpful tool to kind of think about. But the pending status will show that, at least show the patron that we're going to get to them as quickly as possible in that sense. Lastly, you have item records, so you can do item level holds as well. This is going to be helpful for your restricted cards, but this is also going to be helpful for the specific example.
Quick question: that holds the queue column, I mean,
Yeah.
that's where they are in the queue, right?
Yeah.
So if it was like a more popular title and they were like number 77, it would show up their number 77.
Yeah.
And you could be like, hey, you're still on the list, put your card down.
I would always, if someone asks where they are on the list, I would always accompany it with the caveat that if we own a copy of this, you're higher on the list for our copy, because your copies fill your patron's holds first.
Okay.
So the number is not always accurate.
Mhm.
Does the thick list, it's not just books we're sending out, it's internal copies?
Yes, it'll be the stuff for your patrons as well.
Okay. So
And in
it's
that
not
case,
saying-
when you check it in, it'll pop up with a hold slip, not an in-transit slip.
How is it, if we don't have a copy that gets sent to another library, is there any rhyme or reason to who gets, where it gets sent to?
There's holds tables that go in order, and it's actually optimized to the routes of our delivery system. So it does go in order for who's on your delivery route, and then if nobody owns it on your delivery route, it'll go out to the other Buckles libraries, and I believe it's just alphabetical. That it goes through the libraries like that.
Well, the queue doesn't mean you are 77, but there may be 15 books, so.
Yes, that's another thing. There's copies. However many copies is going to affect how fast it is as well.
That's how our queue works now too, anyway.
All right. So in terms of doing it from the item record, I'm going to kind of show that too. So we're going to use the find tool again to be able to search for specifically item records. Again, this will be helpful if you want to do item level requests for patrons, so they want a specific copy of an item, you can do it. With this case, or with this example, we're going to do a family handyman, and this is important because it's a periodical, so you want to use item level requests for specific copies of a periodical in some cases. So I'm going to go ahead and set the item record to search database to item record. We're going to change this to title again. And again, we're going to, actually, we'll leave it to keyword all in this case for now, but I'm going to type in family handyman. And you'll notice that this is going to be brought up here. Specifically, this patron wants to be able to get the September 2022 issue from Pagoda. So,
Well, they just want the September 2022 issue, but we're going to find that Pagoda has it.
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, we can be able to find that by looking at specifically the call number. So the call number is going to be able to show that information for us when it comes to the issue. If we keep scrolling down, you'll notice that there's some dates here. There's some months that show the actual type of issue it's going to be. And
Click it to sort to make your life easier.
yeah. And if we go ahead here, we can sort that. From there, let's go to the S section, and there you'll see that there's a September 2022 issue from Pagoda. So this just happens to be it, like we were stating. But if we go ahead and click that and hit open on it, we'll be greeted to the item record. So similar to the bib record, we can go to actions and then place a hold. And then since Sally again is still open, we can use that to kind of place this hold on her account. We're going to hit OK. And similar to the bib record, it inputs all of the information here. One thing that you'll notice as well is that there's a barcode field here, and now that's filled in since it's an item level request. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. If you notice that there's a barcode kind of filled in here, that's how you know it'll be an item level one. And then from there, you can set the hold request up as normal. So change your activation date, expiration date, and pickup location. And once you're done, you can go ahead and click the place hold button. In this case, it's saying the item is blocked, but I'm just going to go ahead and hit continue for this.
Item is blocked?
It's saying the item is not holdable.
Oh, that's happened before, where it was,
Yeah.
Okay, can we, because this is going to mess up our example.
I tried to continue it.
Can you continue,
Mhm.
and then can you go to the item record in your list?
Mm-hmm.
Go to satisfied by?
There we go. I was saying not holdable. Hold on.
Can you get to the bib record and then get to the item record?
I think I got to the item record here.
Okay,
Um,
go to the details and see what's going on with it.
Hmm.
What's the status? Available?
yeah.
Is it deleted? Is it holdability? What is it?
Yeah, the holdability is not even limited either.
It's not limited, but is it holdable?
That's probably why.
It's not holdable?
It's not clicked as holdable.
It's
yeah.
not clicked as holdable, okay. Luke, can you change that on your computer?
I'll just change that. I have a question. Is this how you guys, I don't really foresee a lot of our patrons taking out periodicals. Would like mangas and graphic novels all be same kind of deal? Like,
No, we actually catalog those
you
separately.
separate them? 'Cause
Yeah.
we ran into that issue where a kid wanted a specific volume and other volumes kept filling holes. So you guys
Yes,
have-
we used to have that problem, and then we started really trying to split up our bibliographic records
Okay,
as
so
much
they're
as
all
possible.
separated, so we don't.
Yeah, you might find old ones still, same with travel guides, we
Yeah.
used to do them all together, so you might find old ones in the system that are that way, and if a patron doesn't know any better, they may place a hold on a travel guide, and they'll get some old edition of it, and they're, they don't know any better. So,
You need to.
we ask that you let us know if you find any of those old records. We didn't do like a project to go back and find them all ourselves, but as they come up,
109.
we're fixing them, and making them
140.
separate records. But the only thing
62.
left that still is all together like
36.
this is the periodicals.
No problem.
So if a patron does want a periodical and it's not
Let me
on
close
your
that.
shelf, somebody has it checked out and they want to place a hold, you do have to
Try
do an item
refreshing it.
level request.
I don't foresee a lot of periodical requests.
Close it.
Yeah, I just realized
A
that.
manga for sure.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so what status is the hold in? Do you need to reactivate it?
Should I like cancel it and then reactivate
No.
it again? Or
What is it? What status is it in?
still saying, let me refresh this. Still saying not supplied.
No, you have to click it and reactivate it.
Oh, okay.
Actions?
Reactivate, sorry. Okay, there we go.
All right. Can you? The next one's probably going to be in the same situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what I'm thinking with some.
And then go to the bib record and find items. Find the October, November, 2022. Yep, you got it. And make sure it's in the. Oh, it is. Okay.
Okay, that's good then. All right.
Oh, but it's in storage. No, it's in storage. You just had it.
Yeah,
open,
they don't
so.
do what we.
Just change the.
Change the circ status. Circulation. Yep.
Which means, yeah, when you put in on your name, you're gonna see.
I'll go to details.
Oh no, details. You were in the right spot. Sorry about that. No, that's Rutherford. That's not Pagoda. Can you go back?
Is that
Can you filter by Pagoda?
Keep understanding that us having to separate those, we have 30 records.
BOGA?
BOGO.
You know, we have the master title, and like 30 volumes of it.
Yeah.
So, I didn't hear anything, we had to separate those out.
Details and scroll down.
This seems like
That's
another-
Yeah,
not
make it
holdable.
Okay, save. Okay. Sorry about that brief interlude. We are ready to continue the example
Mm-hmm.
with another item record.
Yeah.
A
So,
reason.
yes, the reason why we wanted to kind of stress this when it comes to periodicals especially is, and you guys were discussing it as well with your mango, but if we go ahead and click into the find tool again and select the item record, let's say in this case the patron wants to get 2 issues of the same periodical. So we're going to type in, we're going to set our parameters again, so set this to title, and then we're going to type in Family Handyman again. From there, we're going to sort our call number, and we're going to, in this case, they want to look for the October/November edition for 2022. So we're going to look through our call number. It's most likely going to be at the right here, and we're going to go ahead and click into that, hit open, and we're going to do the same thing that we did before. So go to the actions drop down, click place hold. We're going to select Sally South Orange as our patron, hit OK. This fills up all the information that we need, and we're going to change any of these fields that we would need to. From there, we can go ahead and click the place hold button. And what this is essentially going to do is that it's going to come up with this duplicate hold request exists pop-up. This is really important to keep in mind. Patrons have the ability to go into the pack and create their own hold requests. However, if they want to make hold requests for multiple issues, they won't be able to do that because the title is set as, or the bib record, or the item record is going to be seen as a duplicate record, and they aren't able to do that within the pack. So only staff members can create duplicate holds on items with no volume info. Patrons won't be able to do it in the pack unless there is volume info on the item record. So it's definitely important to keep that in mind when it comes to this. So because of the fact that there's no information on the volume side of things, we can go ahead and click continue, and then that'll be able to apply that duplicate hold request on the patron's account so that they'll have both of them ready for them so that they'll be able to get both issues in this case.
So if you recall, in linking training, we talked about using the volume field. That is very important to do for periodicals, using the volume field for the issue information, because that allows them to place multiple holds on different issues in the pack on their own. But GODA has their phone numbers set up wrong, and they don't use the volume field, so that blocks the patron from placing multiple holds on items.
So that should be it for placing holds. I'm going to pass it off to Luke, and now he's going to explain how to manage those holds.
All right, so the last part here, for holds, managing holds, I'm going to go start from scratch, close all. All right, so we're going to go back to Sally's account, and now we have, excuse me, now we have these holds. So just like before, when you click any of these checkboxes, it will open up buttons to press here at the top. So the first example we're going to do is we're going to cancel the Family Handyman, the September 2022 edition. So I'm just going to select it, hit cancel, and now you can see here it says status is canceled. So it will actually stay here for 30 days in the canceled status before it goes away completely. So if we wanted to, we could, now that it's canceled, select it, and I can either reactivate it if that was a mistake, or they want it, they call and say, hey, I actually do want it, or I can just delete it completely. And now it will be permanently deleted and you can't get it back. You'd have to replace the hold from the beginning. Another thing you can do is suspend and reactivate. So we're going to do that with the Becoming book by Michelle Obama.
Did he already make it inactive, though?
That's inactive. I can do it with a large print. Update activation date.
Yeah, so if somebody says, like, hey, I'm going on vacation, can you suspend this for a while because I want to still get it, but I want to just wait until after I come back from vacation.
Can patrons suspend their own holds, or do we have?
I believe they can. I don't do so much in the patron account, so I don't want to say super confidently, but I believe they can in their own account when they log into the pack, and we're going to have separate pack training.
We have a couple patrons who's going to abuse that.
Okay, so next we have this Fill Now button that comes up when you check the box here. So what Fill Now is essentially when you have a comparable item that can match what they're looking for, you can do Fill Now and it will do that. So if I go to Fill Now and I find something that's just as good.
Yeah, another copy of Family Handyman. Same issue.
It's in transit, but pretend it wasn't. Then it would satisfy that hold with the other one. Okay, and then the other thing we can do is...
Did it go to on hold?
it's not working. So the another thing we can do is we can select one, like once you select more than one hold here, you have this add to group comes up. So what this does is I selected becoming the regular print edition and then becoming large print edition. You can also do this with like DVDs and Blu-rays. So you can add one to a group if the patron doesn't care about the format. If they just want becoming by Michelle Obama, they can do group a large hold, do a group hold for large print and regular print. Just like if they wanted like the new Top Gun movie, they could do it for Blu-ray, DVD, etc. So I click both of these. I go to add to group successfully, and now you can see they're both in group A here. And then if I want to get out of that, I can click this and I can say remove from group.
Can you check in that one that's in transit so that we can show them successfully how to fill a hold using fill hold now? So just go to check in and check in that barcode.
Which one?
This one, 3307.
Okay.
And then don't put it in transit. Never do this, guys. Never do this. And then close, and then go to click that hold, and then do fill now again, and it should work this time. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
And is it on hold?
Yep.
Okay, so that's how you're gonna do fill now. Items can't be in transit when you're trying to do fill now.
So when you do the group thing, in this case, if say the large print book comes back, once you fill that hold, it clears the other hold.
It clears the other hold, yep. It satisfies both holds once you find one of them. And this is a trick I like to do a lot when I'm working on weekends at the libraries, because a lot of times a patron will be like, oh, I never thought about the large print. Yeah, sure, I'll take the large print if you have it. And the large print copies will be available when the regular aren't sometimes. So yeah, it's like a neat way to get them to book faster sometimes. So I'll group both holds and they'll get whichever comes faster.
All right, and last up we have multiple holds here. You can just click add titles, and I'm going to show this with the book club though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a book club card, right? So I'm going to talk about multiple holds as it pertains to book clubs. So for book clubs, first let's go back to the policy and procedure for requests. And then there's one right here that says bulk requests. So bulk requests has to do with book clubs. Libraries must place duplicate hold requests for their book club. Items should then be checked out within 4 days to either the book club card or the club members card. So again, we talked about there's kind of the two ways to pick up that item, the individual card, or sometimes there's a card just for the club. So if I go back into here, we're going to scan a book club. All right, so this is West Orange Library Juven YA Book Club. So how this would work is you'd go to multiple holds here, and then say they want, it was like about like horror books, so Stephen King The Shining will do.
You clicked add titles, just, you clicked it, I don't think you pointed it out.
Oh yeah, so you click add titles here. And what we do is we'd change it to item record, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this way we're at the item level, and we'll go to The Shining.
Just make sure it's a title search.
Good point. So item level is the search, and then for title,
And then you might want to just sort by status or by title. Like, you could sort this and filter it out and play around with it to get what you want.
Yeah.
You might use a filter for available status only, because obviously you don't want to place holds on stuff that's checked out to other people. You might be waiting too long on those for your book club.
Whoops, I screwed that up. I accidentally. But anyways, you just go through and select multiple ones. Let me go to do that again. So add titles.
Item record.
Okay, so and it would be the number for the number in the book club, right? So if there's 10 people.
Yeah, say there's 10 people, you want to do 10 holds.
All right.
And just make sure they're all available.
Oh, right. Yeah. So this won't be this one. So yeah, what you can do is you can filter by available. Okay. And I hit cancel. This mouse is sorry. One last third time's a charm. Sorry about this. Item record, title. Okay, and then we're gonna by available, and I'll just do 3 because we're do this quickly. All right, now there's 3, and place hold. It's gonna come up and say a duplicate hold request exists. So hit continue, and you're gonna have to keep hitting continue for each one.
Everyone.
So now we have the everything right here, and they're in there for the book club.
And you asked about changing the pickup location, so he can now click on those hold requests and change the pickup location to West Orange if he needs to for the West Orange Book Club, and click save, and it'll just update the pickup location.
Why would you do that as an item search instead of as a, wouldn't it be a bib search if it's doing all the titles in that record?
You could do 10 bib level searches, but I don't know. I guess you could do 10 bib level searches. I'm so used to like the old system where like we would pick the libraries that would be like the best at sending them and stuff, you know? But no, you could do 10 bib levels, and then it would pick 10. It would of course default to searching for the available ones first, and then it would just grab from wherever. That's another option. You'll still get that duplicate pop-up because you can't place duplicate holds on the same bib record either way, but you just override it and go through. Yeah, either way.